Hi everybody and welcome to the Truck King YouTube channel. Now if you are paying attention with off-road focused pickup trucks these days, you will have noticed there's been a clear shift towards desert racing high-speed off-roaders, and Jeep wasn't going to miss the boat. This is the Gladiator Mojave, specifically put together to go out there and tackle the desert, and we can't exactly do that today, but we're going to put it to the test. So in this video, we're going to tow a trailer, we're going to load that bed up with payload to see how this Jeep works, and then, because we don't have desert, we're gonna go hit a muddy, rutted out farm road as fast as we possibly can to see how this thing really handles the high speed. Let's do a walk around now. We're starting with the engine. So power for this Gladiator Mojave is the same as every other Gladiator. Right here we have a naturally aspirated 3.6 liter V6 making 285 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque. In our case, sent through a 6-speed manual transmission, and it is pretty cool that Jeep allows you to get the manual in its top trim models. Now there's a whole bunch of other differences you'll see on this Mojave. First of all, they go for an orange paint scheme on the hooks and on some other things in here, just trying to separate it from the regular Rubicon. And then come in close, you can see right here, this is the 4x4 desert rated badge. This debuted on this Mojave, and it's essentially telling you it's specifically designed to go out there into the desert and to go fast and have fun. Now what makes it ready for the desert? Well, this truck gets a 1/2 inch wider track than the standard Gladiator, and it also gets a set of 2.5 inch Fox internal bypass piggyback reservoir shocks. That's a mouthful, but what that means is that the suspension here is just going to be able to swallow up the biggest whoops that much better. Plus, the front end, you get a 1-inch lift, so this truck sits dead level. Here's a closer look at the front suspension here on the Gladiator. So in here, you can see the hydraulic bump stop. The main 2.5 inch shock tube is back there behind. And then if you follow this line right here, you can actually see the remote reservoir is mounted down here, right covered up by that front bumper and by that skid plate down there. So Jeep definitely had to use every bit of space it had up here to fit that in. Now another difference from this Mojave to a standard Gladiator, the sway bar right there is not disconnectable. On the Mojave, the sway bar is always connected. Now moving back, you may have already noticed we got some beefy tires on our truck today too. These are the optional Falcon Wild Peak mud terrains. Yeah, that is a set of MTs, and it's nice to see such a beefy tire come on a stock vehicle. Now, my one complaint about the Mojave right off the bat is that you get rock rails underneath the cab, but Jeep got rid of the rock rails back here in the corners. On the Rubicon, you get rails back here protecting your bed corners, but they're gone on the Mojave, and I don't know, aren't there rocks in the desert that you can hit with your bed corners? I don't totally get that decision. Coming around the back here, I mentioned it, more of this orange motif on the hooks and in the Jeep logo. We have the soft tonneau cover, nice damp tailgate, and everything back here is just standard Gladiator. So now we're going to put this truck to work. Let's go take a look at the payload story. Now let's see what the payload rating is on this Mojave. Look at this door jamb sticker here and you'll see it's only 1,115 pounds. This is a high-speed off-road truck. They usually suffer in the payload department, and this one is no different. So I think we're only doing one barrel today. Now I want to show you guys this soft tonneau cover, and one of the reasons why it's great, we didn't actually have to remove it. This barrel is pushed up against the front of the bed wall there, and the soft tonneau is able to just sneak up in there. And a lot of the times if you have a hard trifold, you got to take your weight off. Even some of the soft covers, you know, they roll up here, but they still take up some space. This one on the Gladiator rolls right up and gets right out of the way. Okay, payload testing time. You can see we've got our one barrel back there, and one barrel is 500 pounds. With Dad and I in here, we're just pushing 1,000. We're probably not over the limit, but we're close to it. And let me first say, the reason why this truck has such a low payload is because it's a high-speed off-road truck. In the real world, with this 500 and us up here, I don't think it feels that much off from normal, you know? I don't really feel the weight back there. How does it feel to you driving?
I don't feel the weight as much as I am feeling the suspension, mostly because every Gladiator that I'm used to driving feels a little bit stiffer. So I do feel a little bit more of the wash, a little bit more of the side to side. Knowing that it's supposed to be like that, yeah, whoop-de-doo. But that low number really kind of bugs me, only because if I'm using this vehicle as my weekend getaway, yeah, I use a lot more payload than that, which means that if you buy this, I think you're going to be towing a hell of a lot more, because if you put 4 people in here, you got pretty much nothing left as far as payload capacity to put in the bed. So yeah, you're going to be trailering.
You can put a trailer on, yeah, and kind of cheat it a little bit. Although again, even with a 5,000 pound trailer, that's 500 pounds of tongue weight. That's almost half your payload gone there too. So you definitely have to be careful. Okay, we got our 1,000 pounds in against that front wall. Let's see what kind of measurement we come up with. And visually it looked like a lot of squat. I'll tell you that right now. So this is 36.5 inches. 36.5 in the center of the tire, right to the bottom of that fender. Sounds pretty low. Let's get the weight out of there and we'll tell you how it stacks up. Alrighty, now we can measure once again. See what we're talking about here with this Mojave suspension. Oh yeah. It's pretty easy actually. It's dead on 39 inches. Dead on, which means we were squatting 2.5 inches. So definitely a little more than what you'd get out of a standard mid-sizer with 1,000 pounds in it. All right, folks, let's hook up the trailer. First, we got to shift into reverse, and on this manual, that means you pull up on the collar and over and into reverse. Now, here's the camera system. We have just the regular backup cam, and then we get zoomed in on the hitch. Plus, this Gladiator gets a nose camera. Now, that's much more for off-roading and seeing the trail, but always nice to have the nose camera. And yes, the nose camera has its own little cleaner. Take a watch. So if you do get the nose of your Gladiator covered in mud, it's not that big a deal. Now we can go ahead and switch back to the rear, and we can back into our trailer here. And I'll tell you right now, resolution-wise, really nice looking camera. Most of the cameras FCA uses seem to have really nice, clear resolution. Like always, once we get in close, you're able to do that zoom. It's a really close zoom too, a lot closer than some of the other ones. And boom, we're home. Now here we are towing with this Mojave, and your first question might be, well, why is there snow on the ground all of a sudden? And why are we wearing big coats? I thought it was warm. Well, when we shot the initial Mojave review a few months ago, it actually was pretty warm. But you know what, internet, believe it or not, I made a mistake, and I want you guys to learn from my mistake. So the Mojave here, I looked up the tow rating, and I saw 6,000 pounds. Okay, so we had a 5,000 pound trailer already put together. I was like, being a little lazy, didn't want to move the weights. We towed 5,000 pounds with this truck. And then I got home and started editing and realized, wait a second, we have the manual transmission. And when you get the manual on this truck, you can only tow 4,500 pounds. So we, in actual fact, had overloaded it. Now, we know the truth is a lot of guys overload their trucks, but we can't. We have to adhere to the manufacturer's recommendations, because if we overload a truck and then I tell you that it sucks, well, Jeep is going to call me and say, well, you guys overloaded it. Of course it sucks. We told you to tow this number and you went over. So anyways, that's a long-winded explanation to say we're fixing our mistake today. We got the truck back and we're redoing our towing test with 4,000 pounds on the back. So we're still pushing this truck. We're actually almost at the limit, but we're not over it. And finally, Dad, you're driving. What are you feeling?
Well, to Steven's explanation, part of the reason we went with 4,000, even though it's a 4,500 limit, is because when we did the 5 2 months ago, it felt great. And right now, yeah, nothing to it.
Well, the truth is, right, there's no difference between the automatic and the manual besides the transmission. So the suspension is the same, everything else is the same. So dynamically the truck felt fine. So then, Dad, the question comes, and this is perfect, we're about to take off from a stop sign, how does the power feel at the low end?
Yeah, it's fine. It's it has to dig a little bit deeper in first gear. First is not as low as it is in maybe some other vehicles.
Yeah.
However, it still works just fine because, of course, you learn to modulate your clutch and your accelerator based on the load that you've got on. I mean, you feel what to do.
And how does the clutch actually feel, and how does the manual feel to you? Nice shifts or long throws? What do you think?
This one here, the gates are nice and clean. The throws are long. I like the powertrain setup. My only complaint, just to switch gears on you, no joke, is it wanders. This thing wanders. Mind you, it wanders when it's empty too. But
a Jeep.
yeah, so that's the only thing I find with the trailer back there is that I'm always doing input corrections because I can just feel it falling off the crown of the road.
Gotcha. Now, of course, because it's a manual, there's no tow haul mode on this truck, but another one of the towing features I can show you is you can hit the backup camera button, so while you're moving, you can check out your hitch behind you, and what's really cool is you can actually get to your front camera too, and you can clean it while you're on the move. That's pretty neat. Now, that's more of an off-road feature than a trailering feature. It's still cool. Okay, folks, now it's time for 0 to 60 with 4,000 pounds on the back. And Dad, you got a quick shifter. It's gonna test your manual skills here. Okay, waiting. Ready for the race, hit it. Oh, little wheel spin. Come on, Gladiator. Not bad. And 100. And that is a 19.5 second 0 to 100. And now you can see how that stacks up on the leaderboard. Alrighty, folks, time for the most fun section of the video, the off-road section. And we're not doing the Hydro line today because this is the Mojave. I've run Rubicons and Gladiators up the Hydro line. They do great. This thing has mud terrains. You know it would do fine. But this truck is all about high-speed off-roading. So we've come here to our local high-speed trail. It's essentially just a really rough, rutted-out farm road, but it absolutely allows us to sort of replicate the desert as close as we can get here in Ontario, and allows me to go really fast and feel the suspension. Before we take off, let me mention two big differences between Mojave and Rubicon. So the Mojave here only gets a rear locker, no locker in the front, and the Mojave also gets the lesser transfer case. It gets, I believe it's a 271 to 1 ratio, or 272 to 1, and basically Jeep's thinking is that this is the sand truck, the desert truck. You want high wheel speed rather than low wheel speed, so they give you that T-case to allow you in 4 low to have higher wheel speeds. Interesting choices made specifically for this truck because it's the desert truck, and there's also off-road plus mode here in this truck, which I have now turned on, and in 4-wheel drive high, this is all about desert racing. So what are we waiting for? Let's rip it. And you gotta say it off the bat, love the fact that it's a manual. I get to roll my own gears. Okay, Gladiator. So, what are we feeling here? These Fox shocks definitely take a lot of the harshness out of the ride as compared to what you find in a Rubicon. Yes! I got the back end right up off the ground right there, and she still feels really good. Wow! Plus the proportions of this truck. So one of the best things about any Jeep has to be the sight lines, and the Gladiator's the exact same. You sit up tall, you can see everything around you, big greenhouse. And because you have these amazing sight lines and the truck is so small and so skinny, it feels so good hustling down these roads. It feels like it's exactly what it's meant to do. So just started down the trail here again. Let me talk about the manual real quick. So the throws are definitely long. It's not a short shifter. Still got these big throws, but I got her a little sideways there. But it's not too upset, or I should say it's not too hard to shift this thing quickly. Now what just happened right there is I'm in Off-Road Plus. I came around that corner and the back end started coming out, and it allowed the back end to come out for a minute, and then it suddenly said, nope, this is not right, and it absolutely just brought me back in. There's the big water. Oh boy, oh boy. Oh, I'm driving so fast I can't even talk here. So like I said, Off-Road Plus mode, what I was just feeling there is it's allowing you to step out around the corner. It's allowing you to have some real fun here off-road. But when it felt like I was getting a little bit too far rotated, it decided to step in, and traction control brought me back straight. So yeah, what a fun package. Oh my goodness. This has got to be one of my personal favorite things to do in a pickup truck, or any vehicle that for that matter is just to go really fast. And this Gladiator is such a great package for it, like I mentioned, because of the dimensions, because of the seating position. Everything about this truck just feels small and nimble, and like it'll fit down any trail. And I think these Fox shocks, this entire desert package, it's not just a badge. It's not just lip service. This Gladiator feels legitimately different from other Gladiators. Jeep really did a good job. Let's go over the build sheet on our test truck now. So this is a 2020 Gladiator Mojave. Base price $54,845. And another reminder, these are all Canadian prices. So there's all the standard equipment right there. You can see the Fox shocks. There's your interior features. We have some options on this truck. The trailer tow package, Uconnect 4C. You can see it all there. The tires, of course, are an option, plus those wheels, bringing us to a grand total of $69,960 here in Canada. Certainly not affordable for a mid-sized truck, but of course, this is one of, if not the most off-road ready Gladiator you can buy. And now you can see the US pricing right here. We're coming to the end of this one, everybody, and first let me tell you, if you go off-roading in a farmer's field, your truck might smell a little bit afterwards. I don't think this is just mud on here, and I cannot wait to get to the car wash. Anyways, let me summarize this for you. Mojave is not Rubicon, and that's a good thing. The Mojave and the Rubicon are both the best off-road packages Jeep will sell you, and they're both just as good, I would say, but they're different. And from behind the wheel, you can feel it right away. If I did that high-speed stuff in a Rubicon, I would have no teeth left because they would have been shook right out of my head. So this is not just orange tow hooks and a couple badges. There's legitimate engineering that makes this Mojave a high-speed desert monster. If you really want to work your truck hard, this probably isn't the package for you, but if you're focused on off-road fun, there's not many trucks better than this one right here. So that is it for this one, everybody. Why don't you go below now, leave us a comment, let me know what you think of Gladiator Mojave, this video, and of course, while you're down there, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and then come right back here to Truck King to see what we're testing next. See ya.